Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 850 of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob, Commander Taco Malta, and I am joined today, shocker, by the one and only Chris DeBona.
Hi.
And Rob Rosebaum.
Hello.
Less shocking. For some reason.
A bit.
All right.
Well, I guess maybe a little more shocking.
How do you feel about being called less shocking, Zon?
I'll deal with it. I'll just add it to the book of grudges.
Yeah, the long book.
The list of grievances.
The list.
Actually, right now, it should be more shocking since you have like tornadoes touching down in your neighborhood.
Really? That's exciting.
Well,
keep the dog inside, though.
Yeah, it's not great. I am preparing my buckets of water in case I go to Oz. I got the game plan. I'm not going to wait till the very end. She's going to show up on my dowser, take over the Munchkin land.
Right. Well, you're already in color, so you're prepared. You're ready. You're not going to be like surprised when everything becomes full color.
I'll make sure they've memorized the book of grievances. I'll make a whole new society. How
many times Rob has referred to you as a lesser co-host of Geeks in Space?
Yeah, for sure.
Only because your image is lower on the screen, so I look up and then scroll down. So Chris usually gets first, unless I consciously look. I should have Rob go
not
first.
Being first,
I understand.
I know my reputation with you guys.
Oh, I mean, we've known you the least long.
It's true. You've known Zen since he was an infant,
No, I've known Zen longer than you, but not by that much because we didn't really hang out until college.
Oh yeah.
We went to different schools.
Jesus school.
Yeah, I went to Jesus school, and you went to public school. Mm-hmm. But oddly enough, my home was like 1 block away from his school, so I was at his school all the time. If there was a reason to be at his school, like a football game or whatever, I'd go.
Is it me or is Rob kind of echoey?
Which Rob?
Taco.
You.
Am I?
Yeah, I just heard feedback from me too.
Huh. Is it distracting enough that we should stop, or is it...
Nah.
All right.
That's fine. It's just weird. You sound a little too voice of God,
Well, I am.
I don't want to get smoted.
All right. Well, let's not get smoted.
Yeah, so astronauts are actually stranded. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, oops.
Whoops.
We had a couple of stories about that. They're still sort of trying to sort it out. They keep saying, the thrusters are going to be fine. Maybe they're not. Hard to say. Kind of love it. Ambaloo says my voice sounds fine, so that's good.
So I heard from a pal that in the Pacific Northwest, there's more abandoned boats on the Sound and on the Columbia than there are anywhere else in the United States.
Okay.
And I'm like, is this just like Boeing abandoning a boat? On the ISS, they're like, hey, if anyone wants to salvage this thing, come get it.
It's yours.
We'll give you the title because, it's been sitting here for a while and it's starting to take on water.
Right. You put it on the Facebook buy, sell, trade.
Yeah, exactly.
It's on Craigslist for abandoned spacecraft.
Yeah. The only thing is you got to give the dudes a ride home.
You got to come get it.
Yeah.
You got to get us.
You just leave coordinates.
We had some astronauts ferried over here and they need a ride home, but past that, it's yours, Jeez.
Awesome.
Unbelievable.
I just wonder what the lines of communication are like. Do you think they are getting more updates than the general public, or are they reading about themselves on the news? Do you think?
I hope.
Well, I'm serious.
They're probably getting more from the.
I mean, I bet they're having more day-to-day contact, but do you think they have more insight about when they might be getting home? I don't know.
I mean, this has already cost Boeing over $100 million. The delay.
And the delivery fees for DoorDash to the space station, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's a lot, and you have to tip.
No joke.
You have to tip.
Yeah, you absolutely have to tip at least 20%, or you're a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be that guy.
No, for sure not.
I mean, imagine how much.
It looks like there's a service fee already. What are you talking about?
Yeah, imagine how much these people have to spend in like caulk and duct tape just to seal their cars to get up into space.
Yeah, right. I mean, and then they have to, grab that pedestal they use to send the Roadster into space. You know, it's awkward. Oh no, I guess they just used the whole the thing from Fast and Furious 10. Right?
Oh yeah,
that was engineering. Sure.
Like a rusty Pinto.
Yeah,
a lot of money and high octane to get up there. You know.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
use regular.
It's got to be like 120. You know, not
For sure.
know.
Well,
84.
On the same subject, I'll skip a little bit down the line, but there's a really cool story about the Space Shuttle's printer.
I actually really like that. Yeah, it's Ken Sheriff being Ken Sheriff again.
Right.
You know,
that's how he roll.
Here, let me go there. He's so cool.
Yeah,
he was a genuinely just like one of these nerds. You're like, oh man, he's the best nerd.
A nerd's nerd. So they were just talking about how this thing cost millions of dollars every time they put it into space, and it weighed $1.5 million
every time.
59 pounds.
Yep.
Like that's a heck of a printer.
And she's a tank. She works like crazy. There's no like running out of ink error from HP with this sucker. No, you know,
you don't have to subscribe to toner.
Yeah, exactly. Right. There's no toner subscription for this jerk.
Although oddly enough, it does still drop off of the Wi-Fi and require a hard power cycle every time you use it.
Well, that was the justification for not using. They couldn't use the more faxing oriented one because the data satellites would have lots of signal on the regular.
Yep.
You know, so they're like, yeah, we don't want to be in the middle of a transmission and not be able to finish.
Scroll down and show the cylinder, the printhead cylinder.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah.
That was the part that I thought was really cool. It's like we flew that thing up into space like 135 times.
Yeah, and didn't come back a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and like, you know, it's got these hammers that are timed for when the letter rolls underneath them.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a bonkers design.
It's really cool.
It's
really fast too.
It's really cool. Yeah. I was pretty thrilled with that story. But you know, anything NASA, anything space shuttle related.
Yeah, he disassembled one of the hammer cards. Let me find it. Up there. So like these guys go crank, 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 and this goes wham, wham, wham. You know, that's the sound it makes too.
That's the wham, wham, wham.
Yeah,
but it's actually a 16-bit sample of you saying it. Yeah,
well, you know, it's the future.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah, I love the sound of automatopoeia in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was my other pleasing surprise for the week. That was a good one. I also shared a nice story about how WASD became the standard PC control scheme. A nice little historical piece. They talk about how originally PC gamers used the arrow keys, but that's a little bit awkward because your hand would have to be held in front of your body. But then mouse look and Doom was the beginning of the transition. And then they talked about Thresh basically made it the thing. He used it with Quake. When he started crushing everybody at Quake, that was his deal. And then by the time Halo came out, that was just the default. And at that point, it was all over. That's a nice little story about something that I guess we all lived through. Because boy, did I play video games with those stupid arrow keys.
Yeah, I've heard that about you.
Yes, you have.
Well, so, you know, as a longtime VI user, you know, HJKL, you know, has been my thing. So WASD was not an easy adaptation.
No, for sure.
But I managed it, you know.
Well, and I use HJK. I still use VI is still my thing. And I still use the HJKL thing, but you can't mouse look with that because that's under your right hand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with that attitude, sure. You know.
Sure. Well, I'm not going to learn how to use HJKL with my left hand. That seems like now I've made it much worse.
That seems unnatural.
Yeah, it does. Unholy.
And those people really aren't true Americans, you know.
Oh, like, I didn't realize that this was a xenophobia thing.
Everything is xenophobia now, man.
Oh, all right.
Including the game Xenophobe.
Oh, good, because I was bad at that game.
Did Xenophobe use WASD? I bet you it did. you know.
Yeah. Making your kids use HJKL and playing NetHack. Can you imagine?
I think that's child abuse, but yeah, okay.
Well, in 2024, a lot of things are child abuse that in the 80s were not.
Yeah.
Things are different now, guys. Like, you can make people use non-ergonomic keyboards. It's weird.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Here's a weird one. Somebody built a Fuse file system that uses Google Calendar as the data store. That makes me happy. I didn't actually try installing it, but that's pretty great.
Oh my gosh.
Right? The screenshots are
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Here, let me find it.
I don't really know what like size limits and stuff are for what is it?
Well, they have a description field and they have a
CalDAV?
title field, you know, so you could probably fit a fair amount in the description field, probably 1,000 characters.
Is it CalDAV? Is that what the protocol is?
WebDAV, yeah, WebDAV.
WebDAV I thought was file
part of CalDAV.
I thought
CalDAV is
WebDAV
part of
was
WebDAV.
All right, there you go. All right. So I guess actually then they just used a file system to implement the calendar. So I guess it's only fair that they use the calendar to implement the file system, which means they probably should implement a calendar in it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good hack. I approve. Thumbs up. We also had another funny one, or I guess interesting. I assume you have both at some point in your life seen the Andy Warhol Amiga stuff. He demoed the Amiga back in the 80s when it was like a new thing. And he sort of famously did a Marilyn Monroe portrait.
He did a Debbie Harry.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Debbie Harry. My apologies. He did a Debbie Harry, but the actual images have been lost. All that was shown. So it's actually, the story is kind of interesting. He, in the live demo, he did one version of it, but the version he did during the live demo was not good. So they edited it and they put in the actual version that he had done previously. So it looked crappy live, but during the B-roll insert shots, it looked like the piece of artwork that he was trying to achieve. But those images were lost, and it turns out that an engineer at Commodore had these files in a little display. He had a little art display in his house for 40 years.
That's really cool.
And now those images are out, and you can actually see this is one of his screw ups from the file, from those original discs. What a weird little piece of art history and a weird little piece of computer history. The article talks just about how they had a resolution of like 640 by 400, but he could choose from like 4,000 colors, but only 32 at a time. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember all that crap. Computers sucked back then, man. Let's see. The next one that I have on the list is we got another strike. This time it's the video game actors.
Oh yeah, that's right. There was a video game actor.
Yeah, video game actor strike. And like in general, I support strikers. And I want them to be successful in their tyranny over the man. But this is going to be a hard one to win.
It's not just hard to win. There's also, there's not a lot of union people in voice acting or mocap roles. There's just not, you know? So it's like, I get it, but for the most part, you know, so many of the studios aren't even in the United States, aren't even in the union.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, and more than that,
you know, it's like when you think of like the really big AAA titles from like Activision, you know, or like Call of Duty, they use, you know, recognizable voice actors to nerds.
Yeah, they get they get Keanu Reeves to be in Cyberpunk or whatever.
CD Projekt Red and all the rest, yeah. But you know, he probably did that in maybe a day. You know, it's just not. it's not a lot of work.
Well, a lot of this article
Yeah.
a lot of the contention is over AI,
Yeah,
obviously. And this is a case where, like, we're closer to replacing video game acting with AI than we are film acting with AI.
Yeah.
Like, already, like, already you can build a model, you can scan, you can generate from a template an actor,
Yeah.
and you can use libraries of
Well, I mean,
motions.
this goes back to Karateka and Jordan Mentioner's brother.
Totally.
You know, he basically, hand mocapped his brother's movements for Karateka, right?
But with video games especially, we already have an expectation that we don't expect 100% realism. Whereas when you watch a film, what stands out is when they use the CGI model. Like, normally it's a regular human, you don't notice it. And then they use the CGI human, the digidouble, and you notice it. But in the video game, it's always the digidouble. So, like, that's going to be a harder thing because, well, and not only is it going to be harder for them to win, just on the grounds that the expectation of realism is like one click down. The acting is usually like one click less is good. And a movie is 2 hours long. A season of TV is maybe 8. And a video game could have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of cutscenes. So the economic incentive just on a production pipeline to be able to automate that with some form of AI is just so much more. Like, you think about how much mocap work had to be done for something like Red Dead Redemption. Like,
I mean, that horse, doesn't do they owe the horse residuals?
So have I ever told?
They can pay him in oats though. So it's
in oats, yeah.
They pay him in Bitcoin.
Union oats. Good Union oats.
Oatcoin.
Oatcoin.
So here, I've never hidden the fact that I'm a wuss. I cried when my horse died in Red Dead Redemption. Spoilers for Red Dead Redemption 2. Towards the end, your horse dies, and like, I got that horse early on in the game, and I rode it for like so many hours.
Did you name it?
I did.
What was its name?
It was something bad.
Okay.
It was like Jizz Bucket or something.
Oh, okay. That's great.
Yeah, because I went and got like, there was like one rare white horse you could get that was fast.
We move on.
Yeah, we move on. It wasn't that, but it was something like that. It was just as bad. But I cried when it died. Like, legit. Like, I had to pause the game and like take a little walk. Because I was attached to my damn horse. All right. Well, we've got the RFK bear story on the list. Rob and I were talking about that before you got on the line, Chris.
Unbelievable.
And there was one...
And he has a picture of himself with the damn thing. He hit that bear. This is Bear Fire of the Vanities. It's just, he's so freaking strange.
So
man.
Rob was telling me a better bit. Listen to this.
Yeah, bring it.
What bit was that?
Oh, the Falcon thing.
Yeah. So in one of those talks where he was talking about this, he also talks about how he used to do drugs. I used to be really into falconing, and there was some spot where you could go where people like dispatched carcasses of animals, like farm animals and stuff.
Sure.
And he would do drugs, take his falcon out, and kick the carcasses and let his falcon hunt the rats that came out. I'm like, well, that does not sound like the trip I would like to take.
Gross.
So,
Rob, the one thing I didn't tell you when we were talking, and I didn't bring up the link or anything, so I'm a bad person, but there was a tweet from like 8 or 9 years ago, and it was somebody found a bear in Central Park. But here's the thing, it was full of stab wounds. So, like, that's weird, right? So, like, there's a world where I don't know if he hit it with his car or if he found it in the park, but somebody stabbed it and then he dumped it in the park. I don't know, man.
So I think I do know. You know, in the well, this happened in the 90s. Is that what he
No,
said?
this is only like 10 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's so weird,
Yeah,
man.
he is.
Yeah, well,
like his whole like, you know, he sexually assaulted somebody, but you know, I was young. You know, it's like you were 40.
you were 40. Yeah. But
Just
you know how it is though when you find a roadkill bear and you're like, oh, I'm gonna grab that for meat, and then you just don't have time to process it, so you have to dump
before
it in
you
the
have to
park.
go to your, you know, Kennebunkport, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, what are you gonna do besides put it in the park? You ask your friends what you should do with it, and they
You know, they're
say you
not
should
real
dump it in the park.
friends.
Yeah.
Thank you for the link, Christopher. I will add that to the taco zone.
Which one?
He dumped a link in about a Daily Show clip about the RFK bear.
Oh, that was funny.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, boy, that was funny.
That's a
and
doozy,
he
man.
goes over the whole Olympics thing with the guy with the, you know, knocking the pole over with the pole.
I mean,
the pole vaulter.
What a great way not to meddle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If you're not going to meddle, is there a better way not to meddle?
Win a hero or die a legend.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That was the best story. And the video of it is really choice.
Boy, it's funny.
I love listening to the commentators. Like, so what did we just see there? They're like,
awkward.
Yeah. Well, there's a Paraguayan gymnast or something who got kicked out of the Olympic Village because she was doing too much social media and she had basically washed out early, and then she was just like going around Instagramming everything and going to Disneyland, and so
that's what I do.
You should get out, you know. And then someone, like, it was like a random Reddit comment, and they're like, "Oh, now we know. Not only that, she caused that pole vaulter."
Oh, Hawk 2 strikes again.
Yeah, boy.
All right, that's the taco zone. I won't spoil House of the Dragon because I know you guys are behind, but I watched
I watched it.
I watched the season finale, and what the actual fuck?
So, Zen, I don't know if you want us to ruin this for you or cover your ears.
so I don't care about it.
Yeah. It's just nothing happened. Literally nothing happened in the last episode.
The whole episode was like, we're marching to war. We're preparing for the battle.
Yeah,
it's going to be huge. And then
it's going to be 2
season
years.
ends.
And that one's only going to be 6 episodes. Suck it. It's like, what are you doing, you morons? You make it so hard to remember who these idiots are. And then you want us to wait 2 years. And you end with literally like I hate to say it. It reminded me of like one of those moments in Lord of the Rings where they're just walking for 20 minutes. You're like, yeah, I know it's really important where you're going, but come on, you know, get to it.
Tell me about the Eagles, Chris.
No, I mean, in this case, it's like Bela, you know, she spends 4 episodes running away from her responsibilities and comes across the sheep stealer dragon. It's like, we knew this was going to happen. And it's like, and in some ways, actually, I think she was a really good actress for the role because she spends her whole time just like wide-eyed, petrified and afraid and sort of dirty. And she's like, oh, I'm running away from this thing. Oh, I'm running away from this thing. And I'm like, man, you know, it sucks that they asked her to act so hard for so little.
It really,
you know?
It frustrates me because, okay, the first season was 10 episodes. So at some point, like, it feels like they were expecting that they were going to have 10 episodes. And then we would have like
they had 8 and then next time is 6. So what after that is going to be 4, but it's going to be like in 2032. It's like, geez, guys.
Yeah, I was
sucking so bad, you know?
Like, I didn't mind the season, but if you're gonna build up to a battle, don't make that be the season premiere of next season. That's cruel.
Yeah. It's like I sort of want to rewatch episode 7 again because I guess they had more dragony stuff. Okay.
They had tons of dragony stuff in 7.
They had tons of dragony stuff, and it was actually pretty normal in Game of Thrones that the the penultimate episode of a season is where the action was.
Well, that's kind
You
of the
know?
traditional streaming thing now. It's episode 7 is either the big flashback where they reveal all the secrets that they've been holding the cards to their chest for the season, or it's the big battle. That's like the rule of streaming now. It's actually become so predictable in a lot of episodes that it's kind of frustrating because you're like sitting around episode 5 and you're just like, I know they're just going to explain it all in episode 7, and so now I'll just wait until episode 7 comes out and skip until we get there because this is tedious.
Yeah.
I have the same. Yeah, I have the same problem when you're like watching a movie and you know exactly how long it is, or the same thing with TV shows back in the day, right? Like you'd know at the second commercial break, like, well, there's 20 minutes left. Like you like your brain kind of gets used to these formats, and it kind of makes the media a little less interesting. I like when it's a little bit more random, or it feels a little bit more chaotic. Of course, last night I rewatched Hundreds of Beavers. And
I haven't even gotten through it all. I enjoy it, but I can't take it all in one sitting,
the first time I watched it in 2 halves, and this time I'm really glad I watched it in one full go, just because that whole thing is about building on running gags.
Yeah.
And like by the time you get to the end, the cumulative effect of all of the gags are like stacking on top of each other. It's like a Minecraft machine, a Rube Goldberg contraption in order to get to some of these gags because he's built these towers so high. It's really an extraordinary little achievement, and done for no money, basically, which I'm a big fan of.
I saw Deadpool 3. Did you see Deadpool 3, Zen?
No.
Okay.
I don't do anything.
And you watched it twice, Taco?
Yeah, I saw it twice.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to see it twice until it comes out in streaming.
Oh, but whatever.
It was okay. I didn't hate it. Usually I really hate cameo shows, but it was, and I guess the Red Letter Media, they said it best. It's like, if they had done this a year or 2 years after the last one, it would have been intolerable.
Yeah, for sure.
But they waited a good long time, and it was okay.
Well,
and there are parts, honestly, that are just fucking terrific.
The entire opening sequence, and sorry, Rob, but you know that they obviously Wolverine is in the movie, and so they have to spoil Logan's ending. And
they don't really spoil Logan's ending.
But they don't. But
they have to address it.
The way they address it, like right from that moment, you're like, this is so funny. Because they tied it in to the opening credits of the very first movie. He's got the gag in the first movie. It was like, well, I've got 6 bullets, so let's count them down. And like all the kills are like counting down the bullets. So like it's a callback action sequence whilst desecrating the memory of probably the best comic book movie besides maybe Endgame made in the teens.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that tremendously. And the other thing is that the cameo thing, like, you're right. If they had made that in 2018,
there are a couple that are just like, oh, come on, who cares? But yeah.
If they had made it in 2018, it wouldn't have worked. But in the intervening years, we have the decline of Marvel, we have the Fox Disney merger, and those two things. Oh, and I guess the rise of the multiverse, and those things together, like, really were fertile for both comedy and also to give us the cameos that they give us are with intent, and they're justified. And that makes me really happy. Rob's not moving, so I'm beginning to think that oh no, he's just bored. I was thinking the tornado finally got you.
No, I'm just listening to you talk about something I hadn't seen.
What have you been watching, man?
Nothing. I don't watch anything.
Okay.
You know this now. Rob lives in a different world. Anyway, trying to think if there's anything else. My kid's been watching Invincible with my wife, which is pretty funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I've been sort of stepping through. That's a great show, and keep stepping through and watching little bits of that. It's a good one. And I don't think there's anything coming out or anything. Like we're like now we are truly in August. House of the Dragon is done. There's no more movies I care about in August. We are in the doldrums, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Now I guess all we have to concern ourselves with is the election.
Yeah.
Oh, Ambaloo recommends Longlegs.
I saw that.
I have it in my list to watch as soon as it's available on streaming. Is it on streaming now? I will.
No one knows.
No one knows. Well, the moment that it's on streaming, I'll probably watch it the next day. Because that's how I roll. Do we have anything else we want to get off our chests, gentlemen?
So I went to the Washington, State Renton IKEA.
Okay.
And I have to tell you, I generally really, really like IKEA.
Sure.
I think it's kind of spectacular, right? Ever since the first one I went to in Virginia in like the 80s or whatever.
My kids used to love the meatballs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sure. Right. Who doesn't like meatballs? Anyway, so
vegetarians.
And the one that opened up near me when I lived in California was really nice, really, really well cared for. It was a good IKEA, So I went to this one, and I have to tell you, I think it's the worst IKEA on the planet.
The worst IKEA.
Literally the worst. Like they're like one visit from what, Sweden, from a Sweden like cleaner, to everyone getting fired, them shutting it down for a year and restarting it. I mean, it was bad, man. Like almost every, how they have the mock-ups of the rooms.
Yep.
Like almost every one of them, like the doors on like cabinets were droopy.
Oh.
Like almost every one.
So
of them.
even
And
IKEA
then,
doesn't know how to assemble IKEA.
Well, it's not that hard. You just screw the top one and you loosen the bottom. But yeah, it's like, and like there was lots of like chips taken out of the paints and veneers where people had hit them with their carts or whatever.
Kind of sad.
And I'm like, no one has looked after this store. And like the restaurant, no ice, and one of the dispensers was out, and like all the tables had like food stains and stuff. I'm like, no one cares at the store anymore. What's happening here?
It's a metaphor for all of Sweden, man.
No, it's not a Swedish metaphor. I think it's a Washington State.
Yeah, I agree, right.
But no, it's just this IKEA. The rest of the state runs really well, but I'm like, this IKEA is sad.
So,
I texted a friend of mine. I'm like, is it me or is the Renton IKEA like the worst IKEA ever? She's from Portland. She's like, no, but the Portland one's so nice, dude.
My IKEA complaint is I have my curtains are the Bluetooth or the Zigbee controlled electric curtains, right?
Well, this is a perfect example. They had a display of the remote control blinds and stuff. Only one worked.
Well, that's kind of how those are.
The LED lights, only one worked, and there was like 20 of them. And I'm like, I really wanted to try them out. And I'm like, dude.
Well, my beef is that I can't. They won't ship. I don't know what I needed. 36-inch wides. They'll ship like 33 or 27-inch, but they won't ship 36. So I have to drive to Canton if I want to get
like an animal,
like a monster. I have to drive to get the curtains that are 3 inches wider if I want to get the ones for the sliding doors in my office, because one of them has become unresponsive over the years, and I would really like to have my curtains all match, but no, they won't ship them to me. So instead, I have to take 2 hours to drive there.
Have you tried asking it what it needs?
Like caring about its needs and not my own.
Yeah, if your curtains have gone unresponsive, maybe you just talk to them.
Like open dialogue is important in any relationship with a household appliance.
It's true, Rob.
Especially a wireless one.
Yeah.
You are correct on Blue. Manual blinds are much more responsive. However, I have my office kind of ridiculously tricked out with controllable, voice commandable smart home objects. And it's kind of my hobby. And it's pretty ridiculous. Like when I turn on my TV, the curtains behind it close so I don't get glare. And When I sit in my chair, the motion detector knows to close the curtains so I don't get glare over my monitor. Like, I'm a dork.
Oh, Google was found to be a monopoly. I don't know if you saw that story.
Oh, they just figured that out?
Yeah, go figure.
Huh.
Well, a judge said it.
I binged it.
Yeah,
and,
judge. But what do judges know, right?
I binged it, and I couldn't find an answer.
Yeah, here you go.
Plus, Google's the only one that's allowed to index Reddit now, so Jesus Christ, we're definitely cool.
I'm sorry, that's not the Google that I worked at. The Google I worked at would never go for that crap. But you know what? That's not the place I worked at.
Not the whole time.
Well, I mean, no, because
not the Google you were hired into.
What's that?
Maybe not the Google you were hired by.
No, I'm not talking about like, trying to hoard information or be the only pipe. I mean, the idea that you would, it's so anti-open web.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
What Reddit is doing and what Google is doing. It's very unusual.
Once Google Reader was done, it was done.
Yeah. Back to Reader. It's always back to Reader with you.
It's always back to Google Reader because that was the end. That was when we put the period on the internet. Now it's a different thing. It's no longer the
dead internet.
It's no longer the internet. Now it's just a bunch of companies engaging in information warfare to control our lives. But I'm not biased. Let's say goodbye to Chris DeBona on the top of my screen and Robert Roseboom on the bottom of my screen.
Goodbye.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that you're the power top.
Killing me.
That was 850 for Geeks in Space. And I was Rob Commander Taco Malda. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.